All right, it is that time of year again. It is the week after the Thanksgiving holiday season here in the United States. We are here in the E2KG network back. We have survived. Our waistlines have expanded and our pocketbooks have shrunk, but we are here with you tonight to again talk about what we've been playing and to kind of look forward into the next month because we are wrapping up this year, gentlemen. 2018 is coming to a close, and it is going to be part of our Picks Plays assignment for tonight, as well as we look ahead to our Game of the Year discussions coming up in just a few weeks. So, again, this is enough to keep going on the E2KG network. If this is for the week of Tuesday of November 27th, this is, let's call it 72. And we'll see how wrong I am, but I think maybe it's 71. But we're going to round it out by the end of the year and just call it 75. But we're not going to call out 76 because at least our podcast isn't full of bugs. So anyhow, there's a little dig on Bethesda, but then let's introduce the rest of our gentlemen here tonight. We have, that is, on the mic and in the hood, it is Osiris Prime. What is going on? What, did you pick up some gear this weekend, or?
Got my Minecraft hoodie on here that I picked up. Actually, for a few months ago, I just hadn't worn it until, it's 17 degrees right now, so I figured I'd probably put it on.
Yes. Welcome to winter. Yes, this is what happens in the Midwest. Yes, it does. So that I thought maybe this was some type of matching your in-game PUBG character or trying to figure out what this was, but no, you're just getting into style for this season. Right. So, excellent. How are you tonight? How was your Thanksgiving holiday?
It was good. Yep. Picked up like a few deals that I talked about a little bit before we started, but I'll talk about that in a little bit.
The show doesn't know that, so we can't talk about that. So we'll make sure we talk about some deals here. Agasicles, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, right, and energetic as well.
You guys don't know that I record the pre-show, so actually you don't need to tell the crowd about it.
Excellent. That's
completely joking. Oh, what's going on with my camera?
Oh, no. Incomplete battery model. That is
compatible.
He may record the pre-show, but he may not be recording right now. So we're going to keep going. And
not a podcast unless one of us has issues.
As long as our live button is still up and YouTube has not kicked us out this month, we will keep on going. Agasicles, are you still there, but just cameraless?
Yeah.
He's back.
I don't know.
Nope.
Hold on. Yeah, we podcasted last night, and I probably didn't charge the batteries on my mirrorless camera enough, so we may lose the camera, and I may have to swap cameras in an emergency somehow.
That's chances are Prime and I we can fill time. So, yeah. But this is getting late, so let's go ahead and get into it. So. This past we've been off a week, and we've had some time here with our Picks Plays assignment. Remember, the assignment was dead, dying, and really probably revived game genres, right? Like, as I first thought about this, as there are some genres that have gone out of vogue, out of style, but realistically, as I looked at the last year, there's been a lot of games that have come back in some of those kind of withering game genres. So we've got a couple of them here tonight to talk about, but I'm going to kick it over to you, Prime, and we'll get Agasicles, give him a chance to work on his camera. But you had talked about this a little bit the last time we recorded about some classic kind of arcadey football with Mutant League football. So how does it play? From what I've seen when it first came out on Xbox and PlayStation, it kind of looks like Blitz, and it's got the NBA Jam announcers. So does it play like a classic late 90s, early 2000s arcadey football game?
Yeah, it's definitely arcadey. Although I do got to say, it's well, at least to me, it's pretty hard. I mean, I got it on the lower settings, and I'm going through like they call it Dynasty mode, but it's basically just a season. And I'm just getting my butt kicked. I'm not a football, aficionado or anything like that. So, but even when I used to play Madden, even on like a rookie, I'd at least be able to like score and stuff. And this game is like hard. So I'm having problems on that end, but that's just me because I'm not a big football guy. But yeah, other than that, the gameplay is, very arcadey, very blitzy, even old school Mutant Football League, which I loved back on the Genesis, I believe it was on, or at least that's what I played it on.
And is this true that you can your people can die? And they're all kind of like punny names of things. So does that humor resonate, or do you kind of get tired of it over time?
No, it's actually the announcers themselves. They're pretty funny as they do their banter throughout the throughout the game. And yeah, they got like Bones McCree and all these goofy names that for the players, and even in the teams themselves are offshoots of the NFL and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean it's pretty funny. you can lose your characters and your players. You can turn that on and off though, so that's nice. That's a good option that they put in there. And I think I have that off right now because I didn't want to go through that right now, just in case I had some superstar and all of a sudden he gets sawed in half or whatever. So there's landmines and saws, and that's all I've seen so far, at least of played maybe like a half a dozen games. So the fields themselves look like it's kind of the same. So I don't know if that changes eventually or if they just keep it on one field. But yeah, I'm liking the gameplay though, even though I'm getting my butt kicked. But it does remind me of the old school football league. So I'm having fun with it right now.
Nice. That's fun. That is neat. And so I'm going to keep with you here because you've got not only so I just want to come back to this one before we move on with Mutant League Football. So is it something where you find yourself playing in long stretches, or does it is it only work in that kind of arcadey sense of you can play a game and you're done, or they're fast enough that you get two in, but do you find yourself getting tired of it because the gameplay is kind of samey?
I'll probably play at least a couple games each sitting that I play it on. So, every once in a while, just one if I don't have the time. But yeah, I do at least a couple games that I go through. Like I said, the fields do seem the same. I don't know if it even changes or not. But so that in that respect, it's a little bit can get a little bit bored on that side. But I mean, if you like football and you like cutting people in half when you tackle them. I mean, it's a game for you, I suppose. But no, like I said, I'm having fun. And like I said, I think the one thing that really does keep me going in this game is the announcers because it is pretty funny. And I don't remember that in the original game. I don't even remember if there was announcers like every play, like they're always going back and forth and just saying like goofy stuff. So.
No, so I think the original, maybe it had a little bit of digitized voice. The original Mutant League Football was, from my recollection, was a Genesis game. Right. And so not a whole lot of announcers. Granted, you get, Joe Montana Sports Talk Football. But you've got another game that has some Genesis roots there as well. So you've got a game that I saw screenshots of, and it sure looks like Road Rash.
Yes, Road Redemption. This one's called.
Okay.
Also, both on the Switch, although I believe both of these are on PS4 and Xbox.
Yes, they've been on
PC.
other. Yep, I think Switch was the last one to get them. So.
Yeah. So
Road Redemption came out a little bit last year, and then on Switch this year, and Mutant League Football came out for everything this fall, but kind of a staggered release on the Switch.
Yeah. Oh, was it this fall? It came out. I thought it came out. I thought it was earlier for Mutant League. I don't know. But anyways, Road Redemption, Road Rash. I believe it's some of the guys from the original team, if not all of them, that were working on this.
Cool.
And I mean, it is pretty much Road Rash. There's kind of a story. I don't even remember if there's a story back in the original Road Rash. I believe there's one on the Genesis, but I actually played the one on the 64 a lot. I had the most fun on that one. So when this one came out, I was like, I got to get this one. It is pretty fun. The story is pretty loose. I mean, it's like a post-apocalyptic, setting, and these rival gangs are going after each other. And there's kind of missions, which I don't remember at all in the old one, if there even was a storyline. I can't remember. So you do like, hey, you got to take out this like group of gangs. So there's like, when you drive down the road, there's like numbers on the people, so you can who's the actual enemy. There's other enemies too that they're just like fillers, I guess. So you know who you got to take out. There's one where you actually got to take out some vehicles, which is kind of interesting. You got to plant like a bomb on it. You have to get close enough to do that. That was pretty cool. And then just you have to win the race or get in the top 3 and stuff like that. So in that respect, it's not too bad. It's a little bit different from the old Road Rash. It's a little rough on the graphics though. So when obviously I play mostly when I'm handheld most of the time. I did dock it a few times though, and it does look a lot better when it's docked. But still a little rough. I mean, and that doesn't bother me too much. I'm not really big on the graphics. If it's a little lower quality.
So how's the frame rate? Because I would assume that in something like this, the frame rate's going to make a difference if it's a little glitchy or hitchy there in a racing game.
No, yeah, it's pretty smooth. I haven't seen any like glitchiness or like kind of staggering, or you kind of like see like the screen kind of waver almost. No popping even, so that's nice. Animation's a little bit maybe a little bit more polished than on past games that I played. They're kind of stiff, like especially when you crash, they kind of just like kind of go like this and they just kind of stay like that. So it's a little weird. Sometimes they kind of flail around a little bit, but most of the time they're kind of just kind of stuck in their position as soon as they leave their bike, which is fine. It's fun. There's still some spectacular crashes because you got oncoming traffic too coming. So you can kick a guy like into an oncoming car and you see him go flying off the road and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
So that animation almost is old school as well, right? If this is a game that has some 16-bit roots, that animation seems like it's right up there in that 32-bit PlayStation 2 type of generation.
Yeah, I would have liked a little bit more ragdoll on the people, but I mean, like I said, it's fine. It does. It reminds me a lot of Road Rash, and probably of these two games, I'm having a lot more fun with this one just because I can actually win some levels and get past some things. Unlike in Mutant League, where I'm like losing my butt right now. But yeah, it's fun. No, I'm really liking it, and I would say if it goes on sale, you could pick it up. I'm trying to remember what the full. I don't think it was like a full $60. That might have been like 30 or something.
Yeah, I think it was a budget release, at least initially. I think the price point is lower there too. Same thing with Mutant League Football. Actually, Mutant League is what, like $20 or $30?
Yeah, I think that was 30. I think Road Redemption might have been even 20, maybe. Okay. But it's not too bad for the price. So nice. Hopefully, they get some. They'll add on to it maybe, or even if a sequel comes out, they might refine it a little bit more.
So combat racing, that is a genre that we had Twisted Metal. There's not a whole lot of new stuff in that kind of combat racing genre. Is that does it make it feel? Are you eager to play more in that genre here after kind of getting a taste with Road Redemption, or do you get this gives you enough of a taste to kind of remind you of it, but not enough that you really feel like you need to dive further into other games?
I never played. What was the one you just mentioned? I can't remember.
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal, yeah. So I mean, that wasn't really. I don't even think I had a PlayStation, but I don't know. I just never picked that game up for some reason. So this was kind of like the first, introduction into that kind of gaming.
Did you play Road Rash back in the day?
Yeah, I did play Road Rash back in the day. Okay. I guess Carmageddon I played a little bit back in the day, and even when the revival when it came out, that was fine, I guess. But for some reason, like the car combat is fine, but I have more fun with this one. I don't know, maybe it's just because it's more of a melee type of thing. It's not just like shooting missiles at another car or electricity or whatever. So it's a little bit more melee, obviously more melee combat in this one. There's different weapons. You get tasers, you got bats, obviously katana swords, and like I said, you can put I don't know if it's C4, some kind of explosive on vehicles and other players. So there's a little bit more variety. So, and in between the races, each level, I should say, you can up your health. You can buy, you get money for these races and stuff, and you can buy more health. You can buy more, more damage and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. There's a little bit of that element in there too, that you can change your stats a little bit.
Nice. So you had these games, both of them, before the assignment. But my question is now after the assignment, after you've played them, is there enough life in them that you're going to come back to them, or is this kind of have you burned out on this genre and you're ready to move on?
No, I'm definitely going to stick with these two. I don't know if it's more of a nostalgia thing or what that's keeping me going. Maybe even a little bit, especially with Mutant League, because it's kind of rough right now for me in that game. But definitely Road Redemption. I'm gonna keep playing, and that one I definitely do. Excuse me, like a level of 2, and then I kind of move on to the next thing. So it's kind of a quick hits. So
Nice, excellent. Well, Agasicles, you are back, sir, or at least you're kind of back. Still setting up the mic there. We just got done talking about 2 Switch games, Mutant League Football and Road Redemption. Both are out on other consoles as well. But you've got a Switch game in your Picks Plays assignment here in terms of a turn-based strategy game. So, how is Civ 6 on the Switch?
It's a bit of an exercise.
Exercise or compromise?
Compromise, yeah, an exercise in compromise. You're gonna have to give me a little latitude here, Council, while I continue to futz around with my camera placement.
No, please do. Walk and talk. Aaron's working it up. Go ahead. Walk and talk.
My obsessiveness with this setup prevents me from looking at it with the issues it has. So here's the thing. So the funniest thing about me picking up Civilization 6 for the Switch is that what it actually incentivized me to do was to also finally buy it on PC, because for the longest time I've eschewed participating in genres like this on console for reasons that I have long suspected that actually turned out to be true, and that is there are compromises on console, mainly in that key amongst which is that consoles don't have tooltips or mouse overs or flyover tips. Those visual cues that come up on screen that inform you, help give you situational awareness of what the control component is that you are on at the time. So the problem with Civ 6 is that it's on Switch. It's really there, I think, for people who already play Civ 6 on PC, because if you're coming into it new, you don't know what those icons are, right? So you have a whole set of ribbon bar icons at the bottom that you have no idea what they're for, and hunting and pecking through them is entirely an exercise in trial and error. So that's what I found to be most frustrating playing the game. Is just I've probably put about 3 hours into it, and it's no, I've probably put about 6 hours into it, and about the first 3 I think were an excruciating degree of pain, and just like, I don't know what this symbol means. I don't know what this icon does. And I think most frustrating in gameplay terms is, and I may be remembering this incorrectly, I'm pretty sure that in older versions of Civ, your production queue for a city could have both buildings and town improvements and military units. In this game, it appears that you can only have one or the other in production at a time. So I spent hours fighting with the system, like not understanding why are they working on this thing? I told them to work on the other thing. Like, why isn't the granary built yet? Why do I keep looking back at the granary and the turn counter doesn't decrement as I go to the next turn? So I think that was finally kind of the linchpin that I figured out that I was mucking up. But again, you don't have those tooltips on the screen. The search, like the little question mark help thing, is horrific. Like, it's a turn-based strategy game. I'm certain that there's help content oriented around the concept of a turn, but typing end turn into the search index yields nothing. And like,
so how small is the text? Are you playing it on a handheld or a dock?
No, I play docked. I mean, you guys,
Okay.
I play my Nintendo Switch docked. I don't know why anyone who doesn't is somehow uncivilized. Oh, sorry.
How dare you?
So, yeah, I play docked, and the screen's perfectly readable. I mean, it's a pain to cursor, and I'm playing with the Pro controller. It's a pain to like cursor through the keyboard, right, to find to type in the word. But the point is that the search, the help is very, I mean, it's very Byzantine. It's like there's this whole litany. Like, frequently I go in and I hit an article, and like it's a page long, and like in low point, pretty fine text. It's completely readable, but it's just voluminous. And the searchability of it is pretty poor. So many times I go in and I see like this, full length 1080p screen long article, and I'm like, I don't see what I'm looking for in like the first two paragraphs, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not reading that. Like literally, I bought the PC version because I figured that was a better use of my time in terms of a help system than sitting there and reading through it. Of course, I will also say I was live streaming it. If I weren't live streaming it, it's probably more likely that I would have taken the time to actually sit there and read through the Civilopedia and try to understand some of that stuff a little bit better. And I would have spent more time at it than I did. Doesn't make it better. I think my comments are still accurate. It's just, I will admit, I may have chewed on it a little longer.
So really, it's the platform is not ideal for it.
No, right, exactly. I mean, and what I don't understand with like the lack of tooltips, right, is, and it happened at one point. I don't know what makes it happen, but like there was a point where I cycled over an icon and a little tooltip did come up, and I couldn't tell if it was like when I long button pressed it or what. But I'm like, you could have implemented like a long button press, and like if you push in a button and hold it, then it surfaces a tooltip. You could have put it on an alternate button, right? Something other than the A button, and say, hey, every time you hover over an icon, every time you're on an icon and pull the ZR button, you'll always get the tooltip, right? They could have done something like that, but they didn't. And that's why, again, I feel like it's thoroughly for people who have already played Civ 6, cross-platforming it and playing it on the Switch.
Do we know who? I'm trying to think here. Who did the port? And
I don't know if anybody did the port. I mean, it's credited with Firaxis as the developer. So
there's not like an Iron Galaxy, or who else did the ports, the Switch ports for like Doom and Wolfenstein? Panic Button. Yep.
I didn't dig that deep, but I will certainly fact check that while we're talking.
That's okay. Prime, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, so is there a cursor on the screen, like on the Switch version?
No. Okay. Right. And again, right, you could have done that with the right analog stick, right? You could have just had a moving analog control-based cursor, but they don't have that. You
highlighted box.
You maneuver around the screen with a. It's a little bit contextual, so you can cursor over units. So your left stick basically cursors over units. Your right thumbstick scrolls the map. Your D-pad scrolls icons. Once you hook a unit with the A button, your D-pad then scrolls within that contextual menu in the lower right-hand corner.
Okay.
Okay.
So, well, I know you didn't play it handheld, but do you know if there's any touchscreen support?
Now that I don't know, and that might actually be interesting. I don't know that I'll go off path to go specifically test that, but
right.
Whenever I take it with me on travel, I might check that out. Yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page again. That's not the be all end all, but I don't see any other studio credited with doing the port.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything either. So yeah, I'm curious if it is closer to the iOS port of Civ 6, which is actually pretty full functioning, but has a lot of touchscreen implementation, or if it ends up being just a specific Switch port. So
yeah. Now that all being said, what I'll say is this is a little bit kind of the way Red Dead Redemption could have gone. Once you get past that breakwater, it's fine. So I hit that point right at about, I'd say probably the 3 hour point, right? 3 or maybe 4 hour point. The game started feeling and hitting like the regular drum beats that I would normally feel accustomed to from Civ 6. The only two limitations now are I haven't seen, and I don't think there is, the unit queuing doesn't work as effectively as it does on the PC version, meaning there's not a button that I can tab through that always cycles me through all of my units. So my units of maneuver, right? I forget what it is on the PC. Maybe it's the tab key or something, but there's a key or a way for you to keep cycling to like the next unit that works reliably all the time. What happens with this one is sometimes it presents you a unit that has a move available in the turn, but very frequently like, and what it's supposed to do is it's when you make your move and that unit's out of movement, it's supposed to show you a key in the lower right hand corner, an exclamation mark, where if you hit the X, it will cycle to the next unit that has a move. That does not work reliably. In the scenario I'm playing now, I have frequently had like 3 warrior units, and it will hook 1 automatically, and I'll move that unit. My other 2 units will still have moves available, but it won't hook them. I have to go search around the map and find them manually and move them. And I haven't seen anywhere where there's a city list that you can manage your cities from. So usually in the PC version, what I will do is sometimes I'll just move across the map like sequentially, but usually at the end of a turn, just to do a final sanity check, I'll go to the city list once my civilization is really big, and I'll verify that I've managed the build queue and production queue for every city that I have in my nation or nation state, and I haven't seen an equivalent. There's a report that you can cycle that I think will show individual cities, but I haven't seen a thing where you just go in and you see like your list of all of your cities that you have.
Yeah, so plenty, right? It's Civ 6. There's plenty of depth to it, but there are still some limitations on the platform. So final thoughts here on Civ 6, that it's, as you said, it encourages you to pick up the more full-featured and better interfaced version on the PC.
Yeah, as far as the homework assignment goes, though, right, of the topic of revisiting dead or dying genres or genres in revival, it's a neat turn-based strategy game full of grand strategy all the way down to pretty near real-time tactical, at least as far as rock, paper, scissors, Rochambeau goes, that otherwise you don't have on the Switch, right? So it fills a niche.
There's no Civ 6 on any other console either at this stage.
Right.
The Switch is the only one that has it on a console.
Yep.
You also played another turn-based game here. Not a recent game, but definitely is still well regarded in terms of XCOM, Enemy Unknown. The 2013?
13? Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Yeah, and I had a blast. There's been a sequel, XCOM 2, that I'll probably eventually roll on to. A lot more depth there than I expected. The reason I hung back from this game from the beginning was that I thought it was a turn-based. I thought it was entirely a squad-based turn-based squad tactical game, and it's that. But it's also a lot more. There's a lot of strategy elements to it. There's managing your base. There's building out your overall capabilities. There's some kind of diplomacy, incurring favor with certain countries. There is the gamification thing that I love. Really is managing your roster, because it kind of feels a little bit like there's kind of almost a Madden-esque feel to it, of like leveling your different characters, and you can go in and like name them individually, which is neat. Again, I was live streaming this one, so I didn't sit there and like custom name every person in my roster, which might have been a thing that I normally did. But I'm like each time I would go in and play like a 2-hour session, I would pick one of them and name them. And like in the current cycle, like I named a member after each member of the Fantastic Four, so that's kind of neat. So I take a squad out and be like Ben Grimm, Reed Richards, right? So I mean, it's that gamification hook is there for you to kind of play with it and crack open some gameplay that wasn't really part of the plan. But yeah, it's I was very surprised by it. Again, that one still like maybe the first couple missions, maybe into maybe the first 2 hours or so before the game really opens up. I would say the one bothersome thing about it is the first few missions, you're kind of locked into who you take on mission and locked in the progression model. You are going to lose people, right? And this is the thing that bugs me. And it always lists that as like a failure on your part, but I'm like, there's no way you don't lose any people in the first 2 missions. Like you like like you can't manage their skill set. You can't manage your weapons mix, right? You have nothing. You're just told take these 4 people on mission, and you're on learning curve. So, like I said, you're going to lose a couple people. So that's the only thing that really kind of chaps. But other than that, a lot more to that game than I expected walking into it.
And I think it's fair to say that there's a lot more left in the genre as well, right? This year we've got a couple other turn-based games with Into the Breach, an indie one, but then also from the makers of FTL. But then this fall we had Valkyria Chronicles 4, which I know is on Swissguard's list of either purchases or at least games that he's got in his queue. So definitely life left in there for the turn-based strategy game. I'm going to hit two other genres here quickly, and before we move off into our playlist. But again, this is a big play show. So we've been out for 2 weeks. We've got gaming assignments, and we've got our games as well. So it's a holiday time, which for the last 5 years in my household has also meant that it is Toys to Lifetime. That there has been between Skylanders and Disney Infinity, and then Lego Dimensions, and you scatter in some Amiibo in there, that it's been a staple under our Christmas tree for a number of years, all the way back to the second year of Skylanders. So um, uh, Starlink is the game that, when it was announced, this is the Ubisoft Toys to Life spaceship game. When it was announced last year at E3, it seemed like it was a game for a dead genre. And after this year at E3, I came away kind of really interested in it in terms of maybe a little more handcrafted No Man's Sky with a little bit of play mixed into that, and definitely some Saturday morning cartoon in there. So, if this had come out 3 years ago in the midst of the Toys to Life craze, I could see where it would have gotten a whole lot more traction than where it's at right now. Um, but it is. I'm really enjoying it. I'm a couple hours in, not long, still on the first planet, but like in a good Ubisoft game, there's, you get a map with lots of waypoints and different side missions and story missions, and you get some resource collecting. There's scanning like in No Man's Sky. Um, I'm playing it on the Switch. I picked up the digital version, which I gotta say is very convenient and wonderful, because even within the first half hour, you're encouraged to switch weapons, right? You're facing up enemies that, having a combo with a freeze and a fire weapon does increase damage. Or if you know, certain types of siege weapons and certain combinations and sequences of different elemental combinations create different damage. So you're constantly encouraged not only to switch up your weapons, but also kind of switch up your attack style. You know, you're in a ship and you're hovering along the ground, so there is you're kind of limited, but it is. It's actually been a lot of fun. I played with a smile on my face. Let me say that. It's been pretty enjoyable, but it's been also nice to have the ability to switch within a menu rather than constantly switch toys as I'm going. So definitely more that I want to play there, but I think, for those who kind of like Star Fox or wanted something a little more structured out of No Man's Sky and not as kind of survivally, but more just kind of space opera. This actually is kind of scratching that itch, that there's kind of a space kind of Saturday serial to it in terms of the story, and you've got a lot of different planets. So, and it's definitely hitting that Ubisoft kind of exploration niche, and for me as well.
So for the how I want to phrase this. So is it an open world, or is it just more they give you like a big area that they plop you down for each planet?
Well, it's pretty much, at least on the planet that I've been at so far, that I could kind of explore the entire planet, but I'm gated by the enemy levels in different sections of the planet. So, and the same it seems to be true looking online at some of the other ones. So you do level up, your weapons, you get mods. It is, I could go explore and fill out my map, and I'm definitely in the process of doing that. But there are, certain enemies certain waypoints on my map that I've discovered are 6 levels higher than me. So there is an openness to it, but you're going to be kind of boxed in, at least early on, it seems. So that is the toys to life genre, which I think is, in terms of a genre coming back, I think it's still a hard investment, and I think the idea behind it and taking the toys to life aspect into a digital realm is pretty smart. It's pretty smart of Ubisoft. I think some of the things that Toys to Life did toward the end with the Skylanders game on Switch, that both Agasicles and I have played, where you can just scan in your Skylanders and not have to keep swapping them out. I think that there's some benefits there in terms of the I don't know, the ease of use. So the other game I've been playing just recently here, I picked up Beat Saber on the PlayStation VR. So this is Beat Saber, which has been out on Oculus and Vive, at least Vive, I think, right? Or is it an Oculus exclusive? But it's been out on PC VR, and it has just come to PlayStation. It's a great fun rhythm game. I'm playing it pretty intensely, and it's almost like you're air drumming, right? I'm riffing on things and slashing through and keeping the beat, but definitely I think that it's kind of limited, at least right now, on PlayStation because of a limited number of tracks and the lack of ability to kind of bring in your own tracks, which is possible on PC. So we'll see what kind of DLC it gets and what kind of pricing models. I know that there's some hubbub and concern over the amount that they're charging for additional song packs, but that falls kind of in the Rock Band model of licensing and charging for songs as well. So definitely I'm looking forward to that and going to be playing more of that with my son as well. So I'm going to kick us over, gentlemen, into our playlist. I think that we've covered a range of reviving genres and made the case that there's a lot more life in all those genres than there might have been a few years ago, or it seemed. So we've got a lot of life left in us and a lot of gameplay here for this at the end of the year. I'm going to go back to you, Prime, and you've got two big games, but I know that you want to talk about some purchases related to Rocket League as well.
Yes. So up first, I was playing Black Ops 4, of course, mostly Blackout. Although they have been doing a thing now, I think it just started this past weekend, where they give you like a daily. So when you're playing through the multiplayer and through Blackout, you get not only experience points, but you get excuse me, experience, another set of experience points for their. It's basically like their battle pass that you can buy, and there's a free version, and then there's ones you can buy. So they had double regular experience points and the experience points for the battle pass. So I was trying to play as much as that as I could for holiday. I had family over and stuff. I was doing other things, so I got a couple of good games in, and I was able to unlock a bunch. But you just basically get like skins and stuff like that, emotes and stuff. So it was fun, and actually won a couple of games this past weekend, so that was pretty nice. Some with some people that I had already I had hooked up with through the last month or so or weeks. Some that I was just doing a random thing, and I found some other people that I can play with. So I got a good bunch of a group of guys that I can play with. All kind of separate. They don't really know each other or anything like that. So I can always pull people in whenever I need to. So that's kind of nice. Once again, using the looking for groups, I can't stress that enough. Do that, please. You can find good people to play with, because when you do the looking for groups, you can put tags and stuff into what you're looking for. So I was playing a lot of that. And then yes, I was playing Rocket League on the Switch, and I did pick up some DLC packs, some of the car packs.
So Prime, just to make sure. So the looking for groups thing you're talking about, that's the native onboard looking for groups capability on the console itself, right?
Yeah, on the Xbox One. Yep.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yep. So I bought a couple of the. I think it was the Fast and Furious cars. About the one of the Hot Wheel packs. I think there's a couple of them. I bought one of the older ones, which is a little less than the newer one was. Back to the Future, the Marvel, or I'm sorry, not Marvel, but the DC Universe one, which had a couple Batman cars and a bunch of skins and stuff like that. So that was pretty much all I bought this past weekend as far as deals and stuff. Other than not a game not a game, but I bought a bigger SD card for the Switch because I had filled up my 200 gig one. So I had to even with those downloads, and those are pretty small because it's just DLC. But I couldn't put it on there anymore because I was just too full. So I think I sacrificed Xenoblade. Well, I know I sacrificed Xenoblade Chronicles for now. Now that I got the bigger card, I can put that back on. And then I also got rid of I think it was NBA. It wasn't this year's; it was last year's NBA 2K. So I'll have to get those back on. I have the larger 400 gig card that I got on Amazon, so it was nice to get a nice price on that one. Although I guess there's an even cheaper way you can get it through like some Google deal. I guess you can do. I don't know. I just kind of found out about that.
So in the Switch supports up to a 400 gig card?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So I got the 200 filled up space pretty much right now, and then I have 200 gigs free, or a little bit less, obviously, because there's always a little bit less on those cards. But yeah, so I'm back in business now.
Nice. So I'm going to jump over to you, Agasicles, to talk a little bit about another first-person shooter from this year. Sounds like you went back and revisited Far Cry 5 a little bit. How was that? Does that hold up?
Yeah.
I know that you played it back in the spring and kind of just it got shuffled into the rotation.
Yeah, and this was actually the third revisit because I went back and revisited for one of the homework assignments and then came right back to it like a couple of weeks later. Yeah, I mean, it continues to be what it is, right? Which is kind of like a Just Cause. It's kind of like a slightly more grounded Just Cause with elements of the Assassin's Creed open world design in it. So there's tons of things to do. Every time you do something, it feels very productive. There's some trial and error that's associated with it. Sometimes it's frustrating trial and error. The way I play is I don't hire any of the hired guns, or the dogs or anything like that. So that probably makes it harder because I think the difficulty is scaled to the expectation, and I think I'm going to lose this camera again. The expectation of that you're going to have help. So when I don't, sometimes I have to replay a lot. But it's always exciting and it's always interesting. It's always funny. The enemy AI ranges from like diabolically devious to fanatic but stupid. And that creates a very interesting mixture of events that unfold. The only thing you don't get in it is you don't get that, like I mentioned when I used to talk about Just Cause 3, you don't get that, like I'm looking out on the horizon and I can see a very obnoxious oil platform. I'm like, oh, that's my next target, right? So you're very much in the map. Things don't kind of pop out at you. But again, lots of these live stream sessions, I've, gotten into the airplane and then para-jumped out and done like an airborne assault on a given compound. I took out one of the big key 5 like headquarters in one of the key 5 regions last gameplay session. So that was pretty exciting because I had been fighting, some other types of fights, but I hadn't really taken down a major HQ. So that was pretty awesome.
And that's first person, right? Far Cry?
It is. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So I was just thinking, like, a lot of their games are third person: Ghost Recon, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed. So it's really the only first person game they have, isn't it? I believe, or I guess Siege, maybe Rainbow Six. Or is that third person too? I can't remember.
Siege is first.
First, yeah. Okay. I guess they have a good mix.
First, and then it I can't remember. I think it switches to third when you're in cover still. I'm not certain.
Oh yeah.
I think so. Yeah. So related to Prime's question of an open world, and kind of related to my experience with Odyssey, how does it deal with enemies? So are you gated in terms of levels, and that way do things scale with you, or do you find like if you level up, you can come back and take out that oil platform a little easier because of leveling versus tactics?
I haven't. I think that the enemies are just all one level. I think the way that the difficulties increases in the volume of enemies, I'll say the asymmetry of their tactics, right? So the more they don't just funnel at you from one direction, the more they spread that out is what makes things difficult. It is a game where frequently I have to like stop and crouch in bushes to just kind of look down and like listen to try and understand where enemies are coming from. And I think then the way you get you level up. I mean, there's leveling up, but really it's a matter of you gaining more access to tools and perks and buffs that give you more options in how you approach a given objective.
So is there a skill tree in this, or is it one of the few Ubisofts that doesn't have a skill tree?
It's a skill tree-ish. I mean, but it's a big table of perks that you get access to based on cost and how many like upgrade points you've earned from missions.
Cool. So this game was sub $20 over Black Friday and holiday sales. You know, is this something that you'd encourage people to look at picking up on the cheap here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I frequently say, look, if you're just looking for a ton of content and replayability, I mean, the game is kind of a slam dunk for that.
Cool. Yeah, and some of the DLC, which has dropped in price as well, is pretty creative in terms of taking you to different genres. Right, they had the moon, and they went to Vietnam, and they've gone a couple other places as well. So Prime, as we wait for Gasicles to come back with his camera, let's kick over here and talk about a game that both you and I have been playing, and I'll let you start with it. But how many hours are you into the new Pokemon game?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Diablo 3. I am 10 hours in as of, I think, this afternoon. This afternoon.
Okay, so you just got this. This was, what, a week and a half ago?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, when it released, yep.
So you got it on launch. Did you get the little Pokeball with it as well?
I did. I didn't bring that with me. I should have had that with me. Yeah, I did buy that.
Okay.
Too.
So how is that? How's the control of it?
So, oddly enough, I still haven't played the game with the Pokeball. I haven't had a chance to sit down with my son because that was the reason I really bought it. But there's the nice side benefit that you can do is you can throw a Pokemon from the game into there and take it with you and walk around. So this past weekend, I forgot what it was, which one it was, but it was probably like 3 or 4 days that I had it in there. I came back, had like 26,000 experience points, so I leveled up about 10 times on that character. So I was like, "Oh wow, that's pretty nice." So there's a benefit there. You can only have one, so I mean, obviously they don't want totally overpower the game. So, but
it's almost like the Poke Walker from back in Heart Gold and Soul Silver on the DS. Yep.
Yeah, so it's pretty nice that you can do that though. So if there's just some maybe like one Magikarp, because that evolves into Gyarados.
Yep. That is correct.
Throw that around instead of just taking it with you and battling, have it just get wrecked because it's pretty weak at first. But it's pretty nice that you can do that. So what's been your experience so far? Did you get the Pokemon Plus?
I did not know, and right now I only have it through GameFly. So, but it has my 3 hours has convinced me enough that it's a game that I want to pick up. Really, it is it's relaxing. I mean, in some ways I'm really enjoying it. In others, it makes me want to go back and pick up a regular Pokemon game because of the fact that grabbing things in the wild is relatively simple. It's the let's go format, but I do enjoy some of the battles against whether it's gym leaders or some of the rivals or other people where you do get a little more of a traditional Pokemon battle and you've got to swap things out and you're worried about elemental things. So there's some of that there, but it's reminding me of how much fun that can be. But I find the accessibility of seeing things on the map and knowing that I want to run into something or try to avoid it, it certainly saves time and makes my, it honors my time a little bit more in terms of trying to be productive and enjoy the game. But it's also really kind of, at least the way I'm playing it, it's still a very kind of chill game that I can just pick it up for a little while, catch a few things, put it back down, level up, and not really worry too much.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten into. I've only gotten 2 badges so far, so I've only beaten 2 gym leaders. 10 hours in, and I'm just exploring the world. I like how there's some visual cues to some of the Pokemon. The only 2 things I've seen is like a red and blue, kind of like a whirling, I don't know, mass or whatever that goes around them, and that kind of signifies a larger or smaller Pokemon. And supposedly, you can tell a shiny too, but I haven't seen any shinies yet. So it's nice. I'm like, like you said, it's pretty relaxing. I'm really. I only played maybe like 2 Pokemon games in the past. I played Sun and Moon, the original the first Sun and Moon, and then I think Yellow, like way back in the day. And I'm loving that there's no like just random encounters, because there's a lot of times that I got into those games, and I had to go back for something, and I had to, you have to traverse back through this whole area, and then you keep hitting random encounter, hitting random encounter. It takes you like 15 minutes just to get through like a little section. It's like, come on, man, this just seems like a lot better. I hope they stick with that in the future. I know there's been a lot of flack about that. That's probably one of the negatives, if you want to call it that a lot of people kind of bring up about it, but I'm loving it that you don't have to go through all that. It kind of saves time, at least for me. And maybe that's just because of me and my position right now in life. Obviously, kids and married and all that, so I don't have time to do all that. But I'm liking it. I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it as well, and it's one where both my sons are also playing it, so it's been kind of fun to talk about. All 3 of us played Pokemon Platinum back on the DS when they were really little, so it's been another nice little bonding father-son time as well.
Did you do the co-op?
No, we have not yet. Nope. With everything else, it's just been kind of everybody chipping away at it here. So, yeah, I'll be curious to come back and see your experiences and how much your love and continued interest in Pokemon Go helps keep you motivated in this game, since you haven't played too many other Pokemon games over time. So, Agasicles, welcome back, and I want to kick it over to you. So, you've got a handful of other games on your list. I'd love to hear about some of your PC racing, or if you want to go kind of after just talking about Pokemon and cutesy, if you want to go the chibi route with Final Fantasy 15, I'd be interested in what's going on there as well, since I've picked that game up on sale, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet. The chibi version of Final Fantasy 15.
Did you get that on the Switch?
Yes.
No. Oh, yeah.
Both of you, actually.
No.
That's a question for both of you.
So I did. So I guess DB is saying he did.
Yes.
Yes, I did. Where did you pick it up? What platform?
I've been playing it on Android.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's it play? I've played it a little bit on iOS over the past summer. How are you liking it?
It's fine. It's I was initially encountered some friction just because of the silliness, right? Of like what is gameplay and what is not gameplay. Like pushing the button to move the car down the highway, like in the opening chapter. That's not playing a game, right? Like they do that, and I'm like, why am I doing it? Like I'm literally like sitting here holding my button on the screen. And like there's that stuff. But I was pretty impressed with the way that it opened up fairly quickly thereafter. So, pretty immediately you start doing actual, gamey things. There's a lot of kind of automated combat, so the combat's not that rewarding. But I did find myself place shifting and moving my normal requirements around because of that, right? Like I was on mobile and I was like, there are games that allow you to actually do the combat, but I was like, well, but I also don't have to, right? The story's fine and the gameplay is fine, with it just kind of automating the combat for me. Like I don't know that I would come up with any like super unique approach if I was managing that myself. So it was fine.
Yeah, it seems to work pretty well for a mobile game, and I was really impressed with how it has all the voice acting and the sound, the music, then as the console version. So what else? You've been playing some racing games though too. Wheel and pedals or joystick?
No, I just broke out like my Xbox 360 wireless controller and played Forza Horizon 4. I think I maybe mentioned part of this last time. The big tip over for me was that I've had Horizon 4 for Xbox One, and that's where I've been playing mostly. But this was me deploying it onto a PC and playing it that way. So that was pretty awesome and tons of fun. And I played a little bit of Need for Speed Most Wanted. And that is what it is. Right? It's Criterion's variant of a Need for Speed game, which means it's not my favorite. But I don't have Rivals or the Hot Pursuit variants for PC, so it's fine. It's a thing.
I played Most Wanted actually just about 2 weeks ago on Vita, after playing Forza Horizon, and it was interesting to kind of come back to that idea of police chases and discovering vehicles throughout the world, similar to some of what Horizon does with some of their barn finds as well. So you're playing it both on your high end PC and also on your Xbox X. How do you have a preferred platform here for Forza?
No, I mean they both have advantages, right? I mean the PC is higher fidelity, better graphics overall, better physics modeling. But but playing it on the Scorpio means camping out in front of a big widescreen 4K TV and playing it that way. So there are pluses to both.
Cool.
I have not. That is what I have not played it in 4K on PC. I had it on my ultra wide like 2560 by 1080 display, so that looks great. But if I saw it on a 4K PC, that might make me change my tune as far as which one is preferred. I have that available, but I just haven't gotten around to playing it in that way.
Nice, excellent. So much to talk about, so much to play as we've been into this fall and holiday season, and after having 2 weeks or a week off here on E2KG, that we've got lots of games to talk about. So much so that we're running out of time, gentlemen. I've got so many things I want to say about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I have gone from one end of the spectrum to the other, and I'm kind of oscillating back and forth in terms of my enjoyment on it. The last time I talked about it, I was really enjoying it. I started to see the cracks shortly after just talking about it before, and now I could see the cracks, but I'm not sure that I'm finding out ways to still enjoy them.
So are they the same cracks as Origin? Like, are you finding new things that mar the landscape for you?
Yes, I'm certainly finding new things, and I'll come back to this after, give it some more time. Maybe then before the end of the year, we'll have a little more time. Somebody else has picked up Odyssey as well. So yes, I will say that at this point in the year, I have more hours logged into Odyssey than I did Origins last year, and Origins was one of the games that made it onto my Game of the Year show. So really enjoying it. I love the character of Cassandra and the world. But design-wise, I still got some questions, and some of it is related to the level scaling that enemies do. Right, the last time we talked about this, I kind of complained that they level scale, that it doesn't allow you kind of the power fantasy. But now I'm seeing that actually isn't so bad because it keeps all the content relevant, similar to what you're experiencing in Far Cry 5. That you're not 10 levels above something and it's pointless to go back and do that side quest because of the MMO grayed out experience kind of problem. So lots more to talk about, but we're kind of running out of time. So I want to go into our assignment. Swissguard was supposed to be here to give us our assignment, but he is not. He is under the weather, so we wish him well and hope he and his family heal up and recover. But his assignment goes right into that Game of the Year discussion because he wants to know what is on our playlist that we need to finish off. What games from 2018 do we want to come back to and review, or knock out some more time in, or things that we may have put on the shelf to say one day we'll get to this? What from this year's releases do we want to pick back up before we head into December and our Game of the Year discussions? So that is for each of us to think about and talk about. But I know I'll throw Swiss's out here. He had 2 games here. He's working slavishly hard on God of War to finish out. Took apart his PS4 even to be able to keep playing because someone else had shoved a penny into it. But his other game that he wants to make sure he spends some time with before we get into our Game of the Year discussions is Monster Hunter World. So one that we've talked about, one that I was assigned. Gasicles, you've had it and bounced off of it as well. So Swiss wants to play it a little bit more so he can talk about it and be prepared for our Game of the Year discussions. So, gentlemen, any thoughts on that end of the year wrap up? Any questions related to Swiss's assignment?
I guess my only comment is it's going to be interesting, obviously, to see what everybody does and plays for homework, as it always is. What I know that I've decided is like I'm not. and I may still go back to Far Cry 5. Like, but what's key for me is not so much going back and hitting things that I already purchased that I need to go back and play, but I'm targeting right now. Like we've all probably just bought a bunch of things in the holiday season, and so those titles to me are my 2018 titles that I want to get in and play. So I want to get in and play Assassin's Creed Odyssey because I haven't played it yet, but I just picked it up. As well as Battlefield 5, Warhammer 40,000, Mechanicus, and No Man's Sky, which are all things that I picked up during the recent sales in bottom half of the month and so on and so forth.
Excellent, excellent. Prime, any thoughts on what you're going to target for your homework assignment here?
Probably going to go back to Odyssey through the Google Stream
Nice.
through Chrome.
Yep. And remember, you have the $10 credit there, so if you want to purchase materials or XP boost, it's on the house.
Oh, I did that already. I picked up some just like armor packs or stuff that they have on the store. So yeah, I picked up a couple of those. Yeah, but I definitely want to go back to that. I'm really enjoying that game. I was thinking of buying it on console, but I'm a good ways in. Well, I don't want to say good ways in, but I got through a few of the story missions already, so I kind of don't want to have to go back and play all that again, especially since I beat that first mercenary who's kind of tough there at the beginning. But yeah, definitely that, and probably No Man's Sky too. I definitely have to go back to that. There's the new aquatic update that they did, I think last week or a couple weeks ago, so I want to check that out too.
Cool, nice. So I've got one for sure that is on my list, and that is Into the Breach. Right, this is the indie turn-based mech game that I'm looking to pick up on Switch. I was hoping that it would be on sale, but since it wasn't, I kind of put it off until my December purchases here. So we got lots of good games to talk about. We've got lots of. And we will wrap up. You lost me there for a minute. So we will wrap up not only our show but also our year with some good shows here as with this assignment, and then our Game of the Year content as we head into late December. So, gentlemen, any final thoughts? Any closing remarks? All right. So for my
Match is coming.
Oh, says the man in the Minecraft hoodie. So, for Osiris Prime and Agasicles Stamus and myself, DBQ Hams, thank you again. We hope to see you back here next time. And until then, we're always will be enough to keep you going. Good night.